Hey everyone, April here, also known as T-Bones. I'm going to be going through a kind of landscape-ish looking thing, I guess you can call it. The idea behind this was I wanted to create a merchant stand like you would honestly see in games such as League of Legends, Dota, where you have like those three main lines that you have to protect in order to get to the other person's stronghold, and you usually have those merchants, and they're usually set aside in like these cool little hidden areas, and they have like really cool, neat stuff kind of hanging out around them. And I suppose I wanted to go with that in this one, and the idea here is I did take this from a previous illustration I did of a stone dragon. The idea was I wanted this kind of joyous, fun loving looking dragon of stone that's kind of been buried in the dirt, like it's been there a while, but it's like creating like this circular area that a merchant has kind of set up his shop. I wanted it to be fun and kind of unique and different, but not be too kind of out there, I suppose. Anyways, let me just go over some specs real quick. I do have Autodesk Sketchbook Pro. I do recommend this program quite a bit. I was a huge Photoshop fan for the longest time, to where I've used CS6 and CC both through high school and college. The only problems is like lately the program has not been working for me at all, so I decided to kind of like say no to that one, I suppose. I haven't really liked the quality that Photoshop has been going into, so I've been trying out different programs and I came across this one, and I have to say that so far this has to be one of my favorite programs. It does have really cool brushes. Though I guess I'm the wrong person to talk to on that one because I don't really use too many of them, if that makes sense. I mainly use this one pencil brush that you can download from one of the main areas. When you get Sketchbook Pro, they do offer these brush packages once every week, which is really cool. You get these artists and they make these brush packs, and they have all kinds of cool textures and different tools that you can use. And I found this one pencil brush and I'm like in love with it. I use it for everything: sketching, coloring, line art, so on and so forth. So you won't see me changing too often on what I'm doing. Um, but that's mainly the program I'm using. I am using OBS Studio right now to record the whole process. And I want to say this entire piece took me about 6 hours from start to finish. The process that you did get to see here is my thumbnail process. I had started off wanting to create some kind of landscape or seascape of a sorts to showcase for my portfolio, to show, my ability to kind of work in different areas. And it had started off originally as being a landscape, and somehow I ended up with this one. I really did enjoy the idea, and I kind of ran with it. So I did thumbnail that out. You might see the really, really rough sketch underneath, which you probably won't be able to tell what it is. A whole bunch of squiggle marks. But I did use that as my main base, and then I go in with my pencil tool and I kind of just start detailing all of it out. Um, I'm kind of at a loss for words here because it's like I'm trying to explain the process at the same time. I'm actually not seeing the video when I'm doing this voice recording, so I have no idea at what part you guys are at during this whole entire process. But so pretty much what I did is I did a rough thumbnail sketch. I went back in with the pencil tool at a darker color. I don't use pure black for my line art due to the fact that I think it's just too much. I'll usually go for a nice dark gray, and I start putting in those details. I'm going through the motions, like the flow of the whole image is going to be set out by my rough sketch. I'm not letting it hold me to it. I'm kind of letting it do its own thing. And I'm still working around it, but at the same time making it like changes when I need to. So it is a stone dragon. It's going to have parts of it that is chipped and cracked, and so I'm trying to keep that in the sketch, trying to keep it look kind of lifelike, but at the same time it's a piece of rock. This will become more obvious once I add color to it towards the end. I do use Photoshop for that. But so as I go through, I start working around that idea that there has to be things in this area. There has to be like bottles and weapons and all kinds of like barrels and neat little knickknacks. I mean, this guy sells stuff. So obviously he's gonna have a whole bunch of stuff around him. So the idea, I think it was a couple minutes ago, so you saw it. I started sketching out barrels and a little bit of swords and some potion bottles and stuff like that. And I create like a couple of those and I edit them, and I'll kind of mush them and stack them, I guess, in a sense, in the area that I want to kind of plan out how it's going to look. I do need a space in the middle for where the guy's going to be, and he will be there. I'm going to have to add someone sooner or later. Right now, this is just a basic setup of what his shop looks like, and then I'm going to create the shopkeeper itself to fit in the area. So I had to go through and I had to design a whole bunch of stuff, and as I was designing swords, I kind of got into this mentality of like, gaming is a big part of my life. It's something I really do love doing, and I wanted to show that, or in a way, like kind of add like a nod to some of my favorite games. So what I did is, if you can tell, which you probably can, I didn't really try to hide that. I did take a few of my favorite weapons from some of my favorite game slash movie franchises. I didn't put a whole lot in there because I didn't want to clutter up the screen too much. If I really wanted to, I was going to make like a whole bunch. But I ended up choosing a few of my favorites. So, of course, you have the Master Sword from the Legend of Zelda series, which is my top most favorite series. It's one of the few that actually really got me into wanting to be part of the game making process and making video games and doing the art for them. It's always been an inspiration for me, and you can see some of its influences in the work that I do and stylistic choices I make and how I draw things out. You can see those like slight Legend of Zelda influences, though I try not to do too much of it. The next one, I did choose a sword from the Lord of the Rings, and I am totally blanking on this guy's name right now, which is amazing because he's like one of the biggest freaking characters in the movie. I'll come back to that. I'll have to ask my husband on that one. But so pretty much, the axe then behind it is the steel axe from Skyrim, and I have to say that this is one of the few that I use religiously. I love double-handed weapons and I love axes. And, when you have a double-headed axe like that, that's kind of what I'm going to be using the whole entire game. And I did end up using that for most of the game and upgrading it. And I didn't really ever take any new weapons, even though I should. Some of the weapons that didn't make the cut, I did originally have Cloud's giant sword in here as well. I wasn't enjoying how it fit in with the rest of this like kind of theme though. It is a very sci-fi-esque style sword. The way it's made isn't like very fantasy, and so it doesn't kind of fit in with what I wanted to go for. So I ended up scrapping that, and I just made a mace, a spear, and oh, what else did I make? It was like it's kind of like an axe, I guess, or halberd or something. It's something. It's sharp and pointy, and you put it in other people to kill them. So whatever. Anyways, and then I have also in the background you have those scrolls and some potions up front and some bombs with a cute little face and some potion, like raw potion and barrels. I didn't want to do too much. I wanted to keep the space kind of open for the merchant, but still get an idea that obviously he sells something here. The merchant itself, I want to have to fit into this theme here. We kind of have like this silly, ancient look. I've actually been discussing ideas with my husband, and we like the idea of it being like you don't know who's selling you the goods. Like you have a merchant there, but you can't see his face, and he doesn't say anything, and he never moves, but he's there. And so you go to buy stuff, and you kind of just set like the coins down, and you're like, well, okay, bye, thanks for the stuff. And then you turn around, and when you turn around, you hear someone say thank you, and you turn back around, and of course, you want to assume it was the merchant that said thank you, but at the same time, the gravelly, kind of rocky voice that sounded out could have also come from the dragon. So it's this idea of like, you're not really sure who this merchant is or who you're buying from or where he even gets the goods that he does. Like, a lot of the potions have question marks on them, so it's one of those things where you drink it and you see what happens. I did have a lot of fun with this piece. As I said, it took 6 hours to make from start to finish, but overall it came out pretty well. I don't know if we're in this part of the video yet. Like I said, the recording software that I use doesn't really show me the video as it's playing, so I'm going to assume we're getting close to the Photoshop stage, or I've been there for a while. I use gradient maps to color all of my work, which I highly suggest because it's a lot easier than trying to meticulously go through and put in like a gray flat, but then you want blue shadows, and then you have like a yellow highlight. A lot of these gradient maps are already preset into your Photoshop, and they work out really, really well. So that's what I would recommend, and it's what I use for a lot of my stuff lately. You do have to use a lot of masking layers, so if you're uncomfortable with masking layers or don't know what they are, I recommend learning them. They are a lifesaver. But as you can see, I can get pretty vivid color here. Really nice depth. Everything has its own color, but it's still pretty uniform. Nothing feels out of place or out of touch without being too drastic. I don't want the eye to be pulled to just one area either, so I have a nice flow going through where your eye keeps going in this circle and you see new things every pass through. But that's pretty much all I have to say for this video. I do know it's long. It's been 10 minutes of me talking, and I'm not used to talking this long. But I hope you enjoy. I do plan on having more videos in the future. This should be my tile end credit right now. We have my Twitter, Tumblr, and Instagram. I'll see you guys next video. Thanks so much for watching and have a great day.